All right, let's talk about the high-stakes battle raging inside pretty much every software team right now. It's this frantic race for development speed pushed to the limit by AI versus the absolute, non-negotiable need for your systems to actually stay stable. I want you to picture this. Your production dashboard is all green. Everything looks great. And then, boom, total collapse. Error logs are just screaming across the screen, security warnings are flashing, and you get that one alert that makes your heart stop. Data leak detected. Now here's the twist. The problem isn't what you think. Your AI didn't write bad code, it wrote code you didn't understand, and now your entire system is at war with itself. You know, we're all living in what I call the velocity illusion. It's this belief that because AI lets us churn out code in seconds, we're automatically making progress. But when that speed has no rules, no governance, well, faster development just leads to slower, way more painful disasters down the road. And listen, this isn't some abstract theory. This is the reality for developers who are in the trenches right now. They're literally calling it development hell. You've got these random, unpredictable failures, API keys getting maxed out for no reason, security features being bypassed, and it all traces back to AI-generated code that got pushed into the wild without any real oversight. And just look at the scale of this thing. 92%. That's not a small number. That means pretty much every single engineering leader out there is seeing this tidal wave of low-quality code coming from AI tools. We're simply generating code faster than we can possibly review it, secure it, or maintain it. The sheer volume is just breaking all of our old safety nets. So how does this actually end up breaking everything? Well, this flood of unvetted code leads to something called architectural decay. It basically creates systems that are fighting with themselves. You have all these different components, often generated in total isolation by an AI, and they end up with conflicting goals and hidden flaws that nobody sees until it's too late. One of the sneakiest problems here is what's known as architectural drift. This is where an AI generates a piece of code that, on the surface, perfectly solves one little problem. But in doing so, it quietly breaks a much bigger system-wide rule, like a critical security protocol. The code looks right, it even passes all the basic tests, but it's just secretly opened a massive backdoor in your system. And what we're looking at here is a whole new attack surface. We're not just dealing with the same old bugs. We're seeing brand new categories of risk that are born from the way AI models actually think. Take hallucinated dependencies, for example. That's when an AI just invents a software package that doesn't exist, and an attacker can swoop in, register that name, and fill it with malware. Or how about the return of monoliths, where AI's tendency to create tightly coupled code is literally undoing years of hard-won progress toward building resilient systems? So, does any of this sound familiar? That rush to just get a feature out the door, only to have it blow up in some completely bizarre and unexpected way later on? If it does, you're definitely not alone. This whole chaotic, gut-feel way of developing is what people are starting to call vibe coding. And you know what? Admitting we have a problem is always the first step to finding a solution. So what's the fix? The answer is absolutely not to stop using AI. The answer is to wrap it in a new operational model, a control layer that's actually designed for this new AI era. It's time to move on from this chaotic vibe coding and embrace a new discipline, VibeOps. VibeOps is that essential control layer. You can think of it as the adult in the room for AI-driven development. It's a platform, also powered by AI, that bakes governance right into the workflow. It provides the guardrails that are needed to turn the raw, chaotic speed of AI into something that is structured, reliable, and most importantly, safe. So what's the real difference between traditional DevOps and this new VibeOps? Well, DevOps has always been focused on automating pipelines and tool chains. It's very mechanical. VibeOps, on the other hand, uses AI to create an intelligent, adaptive system that's all about the developer's experience, their creative flow. The goal isn't just to automate everything for the sake of it. It's to empower engineers to stay in that creative zone, but to do it safely. Okay, so let's get practical. What does this actually look like day to day? Well, let's look at the VibeOps pipeline in action and see how it transforms that fragile, chaotic process into one that's built on order and resilience. It all comes down to a multi-layered approach. First, you have control. Every single piece of AI-generated code gets intercepted and automatically scanned for vulnerabilities. Next up is context. A human developer has to review and approve that code, providing the business logic and security intent that an AI just doesn't have. Then, you need clarity. A traceable audit trail that records the code's entire life story, from the initial prompt all the way to production. And finally, all of that leads to real resilience in how you deploy. And this last point about resilience is absolutely critical. VibeOps naturally pushes us away from those fragile, monolithic systems where one little failure can bring the whole house down. Instead, it guides us toward modular architectures where all the surfaces are isolated. So if one component fails, the damage is contained, the blast radius is tiny, and the rest of your system just keeps humming along. Now that is what resilience actually looks like. So when you boil all this down, what's the big takeaway here? What we're really looking at is a brand new mandate for engineering. It's not just about moving fast anymore. It's about achieving speed with discipline, because that is the only way you're going to build systems that can actually scale and survive in the real world. You see, the real risk of AI in development was never that it would write incorrect code. It was that we would build uncontrolled systems. VibeOps isn't just a nice-to-have. It's the mandatory evolution of our practices to make sure that AI becomes the powerful, reliable asset it's supposed to be, not some hidden liability that's just waiting to unleash chaos. At the end of the day, it's simple. Speed without control leads to collapse. But speed with discipline, that's what leads to the scalable, reliable systems of the future. If you found this useful, do me a favor. Like this explainer, share it with your team, and make sure you subscribe to Lalit Official to keep learning how to build systems that actually survive out there.